Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. We're going to cover a lot of ground in this video, so I'm going to list it alongside the XRP video to ensure that you all receive notifications about both of them. Mooning regardless, as all signs lead to XRP. It's also not hard to predict when XRP will finally reach those lofty prices. You need only consider current events on a global scale. In addition, I consider this a public service announcement because I believe it is imperative that people finally begin to awaken before it is too late. You should probably withdraw your cash from the bank as soon as possible. The world is currently experiencing not one, not two, but three revolutions. Anti-American peace and development rebels rise up. It's crazy now that I realize I've been mistaking de-dollarization for the actual value. However, the implications go much deeper. As a result of the peace movement and a series of earth-shattering moves brokered by China, Saudi Arabia and Iran have agreed to establish diplomatic ties. Both countries are also poised to join the BRICS and SCO in the near future. The third one focuses on the unprecedented 12-day trip across mainland China being undertaken by the former president of Taiwan. This trip has not occurred since the end of the Chinese Civil War in 1949. The United States' dominance is predicated on chaos, wars, and divide and rule, so all of these developments are disastrous. You know, if you look at the United States right now, the worst thing that's happening is division. The government is actively working against us, and yet many people fail to see that as a possible explanation for the rising crime rates in every major city. Then again, consider de-dollarization. There has been an overnight worldwide trend toward independence from the US dollar. In defiance of US hedge funds, countries are openly announcing their intentions to use alternative currencies when conducting trade, particularly when purchasing oil. The American empire is being challenged all over the world. Earlier this week, on the occasion of the 85th anniversary of Mexico's nationalization of oil, Mexican President AMLO proclaimed emphatically that his country is not a colony of the United States. President Bukele of El Salvador, a young and vivacious leader, issued a similar warning to the United States. Honduras is the latest Latin American country to abandon Taiwan in favor of the People's Republic of China on the mainland. Some German officials are even considering resuming trade with Russia and repairing the Nord Stream pipeline. Putin, the self-proclaimed international pariah, is currently being slapped with tens of thousands of dollars worth of sanctions by the European Union. Despite this, 40 or more African countries recently sent representatives to Moscow for a conference with the unsubtle title Africa and Russia in a multipolar world. Xi Jinping then went to Moscow for 3 days the next day and declared that changes were taking place that had not been seen in a century. Plus, many countries have shown sudden interest in joining the BRICS. And yet you continue to place your trust in the US dollar. I have many non-cryptocurrency friends and acquaintances with whom I regularly discuss this topic, and they all insist that the US dollar has never been stronger. The financial system continues to strengthen. It appears to be only those two crypto banks that cause problems. They have no idea what is actually happening. And I still think they are being plied with diversionary tactics. In this video, we'll go into greater detail on the topic. Events will eventually expose all of America's dirty tricks, and the world as a whole will come to hate the United States as a result. This then transpired. Top European officials are fuming at the Joe Biden administration and have recently accused the United States of profiteering from the war at the expense of EU member states. They are coming to their senses and realizing these politicians are getting rich off the backs of poorer nations. And on top of all that, they constantly resort to using the US dollar as a weapon. Many nations have had enough. Every country is talking about China's decision to donate 65,000 tons of liquid natural gas and the first ever one-denominated trade. These nations have lost faith in the US dollar because of the ridiculous policies of our current administration. According to me, Saudi Arabia has formed an alliance with China, Russia, India, and Pakistan for political security and commercial purposes. If the US dollar loses its dominance, they may switch to the Chinese currency. The questions are widespread, and there are a lot of people asking them. China and Brazil have agreed to conduct all future trade and financial transactions in local currencies instead of the US dollar. The American people need to wake up, withdraw their funds from the banks, and invest in tangible assets like gold and silver. and even crypto, since I think those who have it will be among the top 1% of the new financial system's beneficiaries once the old one collapses. China and Russia have declared they will no longer use the US dollar, and Saudi Arabia is reportedly considering or open to accepting alternative currencies for oil payments. The era of the petroleum dollar and its role as global reserve currency is passing. And if Fox News is discussing it, most people would immediately respond, "Well, I watch CNN, they are not saying that." Yes, the two networks are so diametrically opposed to one another that it is extremely unusual for them to report on the same story from the same perspective. This is extremely disturbing and should give you the willies. Even our own Treasury Secretary has admitted that the US dollar appears to be losing its global preeminence. The next step is unquestionably something horrible, and people need to wake up to that fact. The United States is headed for both hyperinflation and the bailouts. How many banks have to fail before you realize your money is not safe in a bank in your country? Don't let them take your bailout celebration supplies. The house of cards is crumbling. It's not just the United States, either. The Bank of England, with its bailouts, is legally permitted to do the same thing. Simply put, I don't believe it will be limited to the United States. In my opinion, it will occur all over the world. Finally, I have faith that the BRICS will emerge victorious from this mess. Reason being, every nation has grown tired of using the US dollar. They're tired of the United States prospering at their expense. The Federal Reserve claims that its new digital payments service, FedNow, is superior to conventional banking in terms of speed and convenience. Is this the end of the current fiat currency system? This is completely different. That's what I think they are trying to accomplish at the moment. They hope to CBDC in the United States. When FedNow was initially introduced as a payment system, nobody mentioned a central bank digital currency. It's finally being called out for what it is. However, they are well aware that Americans will never support such a measure. That's why a dire circumstance is required. The collapse of the US dollar may represent such an urgent circumstance, necessitating the deployment of a full-scale CBDC. And I have no doubt that is exactly what will occur. And I think this is a pretty big diversion right now. The New York grand jury that indicted Trump is bringing up to 30 charges. Also, I'm shocked they decided to press charges against him. However, it arrives at a most inopportune time. For the simple reason that we can now foresee how other countries will work to destroy the US dollar. In addition, it's plain to see that everywhere you turn in this country today, chaos reigns. The homeless population is staggering, and crime is out of control in many major cities. Inflation is rising rapidly. In addition, many nations are simultaneously seeking to acquire US dollars. But then there's this on top of everything else. The Biden regime could soon be knocking on your door to demand your firearms. Joe Biden campaigned for vice president on a platform of uniting the country, curing COVID, and restoring economic growth. The inflation rate is at an all-time high, and our culture is rapidly deteriorating. They immediately started blaming the Nashville shooting and saying that's why they have to take away everyone's guns. I think they don't want us to have guns so that we won't rebel when the system collapses. More than that, consider this alternative. Nobody with a firearm ever got out of bed and thought, "Today I think I'll go shoot someone." False, a human being actually got up and decided to do that, using that gun. Guns are acceptable if handled properly. They want to take guns away from law-abiding citizens, but I believe you will want to have one when the system collapses because criminals are armed. Considering that this is also happening at the same time, I believe it is safe to say that banks are making the transition. All the major banking announcements recently have emphasized the importance of moving toward ISO 20022. Now, many of these banks are also connected to Ripple. I'm very curious to see how the price of XRP develops. With any luck, this will provide the first glimpse into the future of XRP. In a second video, I elaborated on why I think XRP will soon be worth a lot of money and why I think central banks will assign it a dollar value. It's not possible at this price for it to be moving that much cash. It just doesn't add up. And yet, people persist in trying to minimize its significance. But there is no rationale for it other than the high price of XRP. Because there are so many people in the world who are still unaware of what's happening, I made a video today to warn them. When I think back to 2008, I think we're going to be looking at a situation that is far, far worse as the value of the US dollar declines. And I keep hearing it repeated over and over again. If things get too bad here, I'm leaving the country. Now even people who aren't cryptographers use that expression, since they are aware of its impending arrival. But they have no idea how big it really is. That's why I try to switch things up a bit on the weekends and upload videos that you won't find during the week. There's also a lot happening in relation to the Great Reset, so I'll likely make a video about that tomorrow. To that end, I hope to have as many people as possible become aware of the Great Reset and its implications. It's also related to the fact that XRP investors will become wealthy in the future. However, I think it is imperative that we take extreme caution with our investments at this time. When our investments succeed, we need to act very prudently. To put it bluntly, anyone taking their money out in US dollars is a fool. Since the US dollar is soon to be worthless, you should probably invest the money in something other than paper. Gold is universally recognized as currency, so you won't have any trouble exchanging it anywhere. And I still think gold is grossly undervalued now. I anticipate a price increase as a result of the transition to the new financial system. This concludes today's video, and I appreciate your time and attention. Thanks to everyone who has watched my videos. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.